Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. It is day 6 of 6 in our, let me use the long name today. It's the Omega Kappa chapter of Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing's Infection Prevention and Control and Non-Nursing webinar series number 4. And so today is day 6 of 6. We had 3 sessions last week, and today is our third of 3. And we are closing out in our non-nursing sessions. We have two very handsome gentleman who is presenting to us today as we are closing out because we wanted to find something that people would be interested in. So we're going to talk about why do we need to volunteer and how does it impact us personally and professionally. And then pretty much these days, everybody wants a side hustle. Multiple income streams is the way to go. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. And it is my distinct privilege and pleasure to be hosting you this afternoon. So you'll see my name on the screen, but let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm Cheryl Garrix Lloyd. I have the awesome task of being the president of this award-winning chapter. I know we show off a little bit, but yes. And we have been hosting any educational session you can think of, something topical, and we usually stream those to our YouTube channel and we leave them there so you can go back and see. So if you missed any of these webinar series, then you can feel free to go back. And if anybody is missing out today, tell them that they can go over to our YouTube channel. So we are a chapter of nursing students and nursing leaders located at the UWI School of Nursing, Mona geographically, but our members are in Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, St. Lucia, Antigua, Barbados, in the US, and in the UK. And if you want to know a little bit more about us, then we encourage you to send us an email where you registered or just follow us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X, and or our YouTube channel, and you'll find out what we're up to. And if you want to know a little bit about Sigma Nursing, just Google that and Sigma's main page will come up. We are an organization of over 135,000 nurses across 100 countries. So we are out there and we're working on being more visible as we work to carry out the mission and vision of Sigma, which is to empower our nurse leaders anywhere to impact healthcare everywhere. So we usually have one tiny activity before we start off, and this evening it's going to be no different. So anybody in here remembers how to play this game we all used to play called Boy, Girl, Animal, Place, and Thing? Who remembers that? Yes, man, and I remember. So we're gonna remember, I know yesterday we were reminded if you don't volunteer, I will volunteer you. And I have a few past students in here and classmates and colleagues. I will just pick on you, you know. So we're gonna do boy, girl, animal, place thing really quick. So have your papers ready, or we using smartphones these days and devices. You can use your notepad. Everybody's ready? Natalie, are you ready? Sarah, you ready? All right.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking. We take that to mean, thank you, Sarah. So we're ready. I'm just going to guess a letter and we're all going to go one single turn. Who is ready? Remember, I know you can't have the same as anybody else. Boy, girl, animal, place, thing. And we are not doing neologisms today. We're not making up any words whatsoever. So let's go. I don't need anybody. And somebody need to ask me, I don't need anybody. ABC, fast or slow. I'm choosing to go slow and I will start. And then I'll stop myself and I will say F. So let's go. Boy, girl, animal, place, thing, letter F. Start writing. I've given you about 45 seconds and then you're going to have to tell me what you came up with. Timer is going.
Letter what? S
F.
or F?
F as in fish. And nobody used to put fish. I took that just
Start the
now.
timer now. Start the timer now.
Okay, fine. The timer has started. The timer has started. About 10 seconds to go. All right, and time is up. So let's see who's brave. Open your microphones. I need 3 people really quick to tell me what did you come up
All
with.
right, here I am.
Ready, Pauline? Go right ahead.
Fernando,
Fernando,
Felicia,
Felicia,
Ferret,
Ferret,
Frankfield,
Frankfield. You're a Clarendon girl.
Fondue.
Ah, all right. Wonderful. Natalie typed in the chat, so we're going to take Natalie as the next person. Fabian, Fiona, Fan, Fort Myers, and Feline. Are we going to take Feline, or is Feline just looking at a female cat? Isn't that really just a cat, Natalie? Yes, she's laughing at
Yes,
us.
yes, a cat.
That's what I'm saying. It's a cat. F, Natalie, F. One more person. Sarah, where are you? Wendy, Jillian? Lashana? Who is going to go next? One last person.
Frederick,
All
Francine,
right. Mm-hmm.
Fan, Frog, and Fran.
Okay. Give yourselves a big round of applause. When was the last time you played that game? So when you finish this evening, you can go right ahead and have some more fun. So thank you for participating and just get yourselves ready. That was just to relax your brains to listen to why you're going to start volunteering or keep doing so just now. So our 2 presenters, we are going to have Mr. Russell first and then Mr. Reed, who will be sharing with us, and Mr. Russell asked us to accept his apologies. He will be departing pretty much as soon as his time is up with us to move himself away to other issues of volunteering. So our first presenter is Mr. Mark Russell, and Mr. Russell is a member of the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew since 1991. In all that time, he has served so well, he's been awarded numerous times, and he shared a few of his most notable with us. But I will say it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce both gentlemen who I've known for more than a quarter of a century, although let's be fair, none of us are at that age yet. But he left off one, and because he's my friend, I was able to go and find it. So last year, he received the Kiwanis Eastern Canada and Caribbean District's Fred G. McAllister Service Award for outstanding service to the local community for 2021 and 2022. And then he also is sharing with us that he won another award for the Jamaica's Godfrey Dyer Medallion for Service. He won the Best Club Bulletin Editor for Division 23, Distinguished Secretary Designation. He was awarded Outstanding Kiwanis Advisor for Eastern Canada and the Caribbean Circle K District. And he served as club president. He's not just a member of North St. Andrew in 2010 to 2011. Love sports, you will hear. So he introduced the monthly football game between the Kiwanians and the Circle Kers. For all those who are Circle Kers, raise your hands. And so he also served as club director, membership education. He's involved in the Builders Club and the Key Clubs, served as committee chairman. He has been advisor for 4 presidents of North St. Andrew, and he has served the following clubs as a Kiwanian advisor: Swallowfield All-Age Builders Club, Convent of Mercy Alpha Academy Key Club, Excelsior High School and Arden Extension Key Club, University Hospital of the West Indies, School of Nursing Circle K Club, UCC Circle K Club. He's chairman of the board of trustees of his club's long-term fund, and he has been in the insurance industry for over 30 years. He's currently a senior insurance consultant at Bulwark Insurance Agency, and he enjoys martial arts, soccer. I cannot believe he said soccer, football, motorsports, reading, and story writing. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mark Russell to talk to us about volunteering.
Thank you very much for that short introduction. It is my pleasure to speak to a group that is dear to my heart, and shortly I'll tell you how that fits in. Volunteerism and your development. Many years ago, a reggae artist called Professor Nuts did a song where the punchline was, "You can talk about manners, it's visa you need to go away." I put it to you that effective and active volunteerism is like a visa. It can take you places planned and certainly many unexpected places. You just need to be in the right place at the right time to capitalize on these opportunities. Let me declare up front, I have an unwavering bias towards the profession of nursing. Nurses have always been a major part of my life. I see my colleague laughing. Nurses have always been a major part of my life, as I said, and I have to work hard to touch a chord with this group, as volunteerism mirrors so much of what you do already. My late mother would be extremely proud and smiling to know that I am presenting on a topic that I love so much to a group with the profession that I love and respect so much. So there it is. I'm a fan of nursing for life. I looked at the Sigma mission and vision, and I kind of put it in my words, developing your leadership skills and empowering you to unite and revolutionize healthcare worldwide. I say go Sigma. And I say further, go award-winning chapter of Sigma. So wait, I know I'm talking to some powerful individuals here. How does making time to volunteer complement you? You don't need to know Newton's law of motion to be a great volunteer. You don't need to be able to win the sprint at your child's sports day to be a volunteer. You don't need to have my girth or be as petite as a gymnast to be a good volunteer. You could be as short as Zacchaeus, tall as Goliath. There's no physical profile that is used to assess the potential value of a good volunteer. What you bring to the table, hopefully, is a broad, genuine smile, a big heart. Those are the most common and powerful traits. And those can be, the smile can be seen immediately. The world has many issues, my friends. Food insecurity, wars, conflicts, infectious diseases, water shortages, climate change, extreme poverty. If ever extra hands are needed, the time is now. All volunteers matter. In the world of active volunteering, there's a word that is often used, altruism. It's a principle and practice of concern for the well-being and happiness of others, above self. Some may take issue with the above self part, so I looked at another definition. It's a theory of ethics that considers the good of others as the goal of moral action. That sort of falls into the golden rule philosophy, do unto others. Let's go a little deeper though. Implied in the golden rule is an expectation of reciprocity. Many times, just as what nurses do daily, volunteers work with those who have no way of ever paying you back for what you do. That's when you know you really love what you do. We Jamaicans like to say you have a good heart. Volunteers change lives. Whatever you're collecting and distributing as foodstuff for orphans, destitute. Pardon me, I'm trying to mute this phone. Yeah, whatever you're collecting and distributing foodstuff, clothing to orphans, destitute, temporary displaced also. Whenever you are doing that, and whatever way or manner you're doing that, you're a volunteer. You could go as far as, depending on the organization you're involved in, you could help in building homes. Whatever you're doing as a volunteer, you're making a lasting impact. You're giving people hope. There's a Robert Schuller quote that says, let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your future. I challenge you to get involved in some form of structured volunteer program, volunteer group or service club that will send the signal that you are ready to shape futures. It's an integral part of good leadership. Your actions then sometimes have a positive magnetic effect. Whenever you volunteer, it's hard to keep a secret. I know many people like to say, no, I work behind the scenes or I give anonymously. But sometimes you have to look at another way. If you're talking about what you're doing, you're raising awareness for an organization and or a cause. You're spreading the word, especially in this social media age, has a potential to get others involved. Certainly more hands make lighter work. So eagerly get involved and bring light to our life. In Kiwanis, we say we are changing the world one child, one community at a time. Just as I did over 3 decades ago, I can hear the mumble and the murmurs. I'd love to, but I don't have the time. In this instant, always on call world, people are busier now than ever. Juggling your schedule has become more complicated, to put it mildly. Yet, I have found that particular saying to be true, as true as that notion where, let's say, if you're dreaming and you see a bathroom, don't use it. Well, the saying that I have learned is that if you want something done, ask a busy person. A busy person develops the skill of how to do things effectively. And it's important to do things effectively because I have a phrase that I subscribe to. If you don't do it right, where do you find the time to do it over? So, yes, you're up to your neck with demands of life, but might I suggest to you that you're not alone. Find that the excellent volunteers are like icebergs. You look at an iceberg and you see an imposing work of nature, a massive ice, beautifully carved by nature, quite at peace with itself. You look at a busy volunteer manning a feeding station or painting a room at a place of safety, that person is in their element. That person looks at peace, calm and not a problem in the world. Yet, we are human beings, just as how the real dangerous part of the iceberg lies below the surface. Similarly, the picture-perfect volunteer is carrying countless unseen issues: financial, health, family. How, when, where, why, then would someone make time to get deeply involved in matters pertaining to people they don't even know? The answer is, my friends, there are benefits that complement and go way beyond the altruism factor. Follow me on a journey that looks at some of the benefits I and many others have personally experienced. 1, volunteering brings feelings of gratitude. Helping others is a wonderful way to gain perspective on your own situation and to make you more appreciative of what you have. In addition to giving thanks for what you have, you pretty much learn to give thanks for the things that you don't have. My list of thank God I have this and thank God I don't have this is an extremely long list. I'm grateful that volunteerism has exposed me to that reality. 2, volunteering can easily become a family tradition, thus keeping the unit together whilst doing good for strangers. Volunteerism has no age limit, so everyone in your family can play a role. I have found that this removes a lot of the "you're not spending time with me a lot" anxiety. My relationships certainly have strengthened by prudent use of the strategy. It will give you more time and support to focus on your personal and professional development. Volunteering brings a physical feeling of satisfaction. My amateur reading skills tell me that people donate to charity, either financially or through volunteering. And when they do that, they trigger what's called the mesolimbic system. You know, I can't use nursing terms with nurses, but I'm going to be brave and use anyway. The portion of the brain responsible for feelings of reward. The brain releases feel-good chemicals, encouraging you to perform even kinder acts. Psychologists call it the helper's high. It's also a great feeling to say, wow, look how much I have done today, despite how daunting it looked at the start. Volunteering doesn't literally give you more than 24 hours, but it makes those hours seem more fulfilling at the end of the day. 3, volunteering isn't really supposed to be fun, right? Actually wrong. Volunteering can come with activities that make you laugh until you cry. Do it in the right frame of mind, do it with the right people, and you are sure to have an excellent time regardless of the situation. Volunteerism allows busy, high-strung, no-nonsense people to have an outlet to just keep up some nonsense, is one way to look at it. You can clown around and be a teenager again whilst bringing cheer to others. Volunteerism can result in tremendous confidence boosts. Once you get past that inner voice that says you're not good enough, the sky is the limit. After you get involved, you get higher self-esteem and overall well-being traits. The better results of your volunteer intervention, the stronger you get. Active involvement requires speaking to audiences of varying sizes. This is an excellent opportunity to build confidence to operate at optimal management roles when called upon, even suddenly. Let me touch this one, public prayers. Many pray every morning and sometimes every night. But calling them to pray at a function, and you get a lot of, sometimes the person is on mute, even when they are not on a webinar call. Stand up right there, you don't hear a sound coming out. The confidence to speak in front of people is something that is finely honed when you give yourself to acts of volunteerism, become parts of groups, and lend your voice to things. You get to a lot of practice when praying publicly, talking publicly, and confidence is an important part of your development as leaders. So we can't stress that. Get involved and be active. A happy and motivated volunteer feels ready to take on the world. There are many times without a cape, I probably would think I could jump off the building. Just how good I feel about what I'm doing. People who participate in volunteer work feel rewarded. They feel more fulfilled. Volunteers report that helping others enriches their sense of purpose and empowers them. You can almost move a nation if you have enough volunteers with the right hearts. You know what you want to achieve and you're determined to get it done. Each past success makes you eager to do more. Volunteerism is contagious. Good volunteers are much more marketable. Volunteer experience can set you apart from other applicants for positions and other jobs. Your volunteer experience tells them that you're ambitious, that you care about your community, and you're willing to put in the work to bring change. Your cause can be your career. There's no need to be selfless or feel that you're guilty for channeling one avenue to use the others, to push the other. Use the tools available through volunteering to sharpen your other life skills. Leadership skills in service clubs, neighborhood organizations, and civic groups all come out to the fore once you get involved. To expose you at a higher level to the technical and protocol-related matters in things like chairing meetings and planning functions. Priceless training for those who have heads of department, senior supervisory ambitions, professional organization, leadership skills. Test it out. Volunteering puts you ahead of the others who never expose themselves to that sort of pre-training. Volunteering comes with new friends and stronger friendships. When you help others, you give off positive vibes, which can rub off on peers and improve your friendships. Saying, oh, I never know that side of you at all. It creates strong and lasting bonds. For instance, if you are volunteering to mentor children, chances are you'll find others there who care about the same things. That birds of a feather philosophy does work. Volunteering can even lead to love. The passion and dedication you demonstrate to addressing the needs of your charity and put you under the radar of your future soulmate and life partner. Solid friendships does enhance strong personal and professional development. Volunteering is an excellent way to use and to improve your social and networking skills. Very important for leadership development. Volunteering is a social activity, so it can build up your list of important contacts. For example, the people you volunteer with are great candidates for recommendation letters. Once you have been together in the trenches, the trust and reliability factors are there. They have seen you interact with others and seen how you handle challenges. Did you know that volunteering can lead to meeting and even working with famous people? People who are on your, oh, I wish I could just meet that person list. Sometimes, yes, it does. You get to influence decisions in your club or group that lead to activities that get you shoulder to shoulder with individuals that you probably would not have had that opportunity before. So again, it's not a matter of being either selfish, it's using the tools and the opportunities available through active volunteering to make your life much more rounded and fulfilling. Remember that active volunteering isn't confined to the shores of your place of residence. Volunteering gives simple chances to pay it forward. Kindness is contagious. Simply seeing somebody help another person gives us that good look, good feeling. And that inspires us to do something altruistic ourselves. In return, someone you help today may be motivated to help someone else. And some of us know stories of that person who you help to help somebody. Is somebody they help is actually somebody that you know. So this is a thing about the circle of life. It's very important. So volunteering is a good way to put the dominoes in place. Many examples exist to support the view that volunteering extends your lifespan. In addition to the emotional and mental benefits, volunteering can enhance your physical health. Volunteering can lower stress levels and enhance people's overall sense of well-being, both which can have positive effects on physical health. Many volunteering opportunities also entail physical labor, which can be a great source of exercise. I know nurses who stand a lot on the job know that there's a big difference between working hard and getting exercise. Volunteering helps create the world you want to live in. Your attitude of service and willingness to give back to your community starts to shape the space around you and makes it a better place than if all hands were on deck across the island, and so we'd be closer to our ideal. Interestingly, in the world of volunteerism, only a small minority of volunteers account for the bulk of the work done. The top 25% of volunteers account for about 78% of the total output. Correspondingly, that top 25% experience the greatest manifestations of the points I have listed. I encourage you to try active volunteerism and allow it to be a part of your life, as it can take you to totally new dimensions. In the words of Arthur Ashe, volunteer, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. I would like to rest my case here. I am certainly open to any questions or that someone may have about their ability to function as a super volunteer.
Thank you very much, kind sir. Let me take the moderator's privileges to just ask you to repeat the quote by Mr. Arthur Ashe just now that you closed with, and give the others a chance to raise their hands and or type their comments and or queries or questions in the chat. I got the start where you are, use what you have, and I
Do
missed the
what you
rest.
can.
Thank you. All right, do what you can. Thank you. All right, so before we get to our next presenter, colleagues, everybody's very quiet. Don't let me start volunteering anybody. What are your queries or comments on the information we've just gotten about why we should volunteer? And I think the closing quote was very fantastic. Start where you are, use what you can, and do what you can, do what you have. Do, because I'm saying we may be super volunteers, as Mark said, or we may just really start really small. It doesn't matter. But it's important, and I like the benefits that he gave, because I don't know if I would have been able to list them out like that, maybe eventually. But I thought about it, and I'm like, that domino effect is one that I really like, because you never know, you really don't. So let me just pick on some people in here who are not speaking. Dr. Peter, Sandria, Pauline, Madam Chartering President, I'll give the floor to any of you before we tell Mr. Russell thank you and get to our next presenter. Um, Grace, you've been with us all of our 6 presentations. I'm picking on you as well. And Nicola, yes. Go ahead, Pauline.
Mr. Russell, this was just so wonderful, this presentation that you have done here. Bring out, you talk about volunteerism is like a visa. I mean, and we all like to have visas to different places. So that will be etched in my mind because I really believe that volunteerism is really important. But the way that you've used, different synonyms and similes and that kinds of things, I just like it. So thank you. Lovely presentation.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Pauline. We're gone quiet again. Are we doing the silence game today? We are not. Thank you, Nicola. It sharpens your skills. Wonderful. You learn some new ones and you make the ones you have better. All right. Natalie, I'm not hearing you. Grace, I'm not hearing you. Madam Cynthia. All right. I have a question from YouTube. It says, do you have any suggestions for good organizations that females could join if they wish to sign up for volunteering?
Immediately I'd have to say Kiwanis, but they're any service club that is it complements the individual is one that I would recommend. There are some someone can have a good choice, but the others are wrong fit for it. You can make so you try and complement your interests, and find self-help groups that are in need of your skills, and you can therefore so it doesn't the sky's the limit as to what you can volunteer for. I would say Kiwan is certainly the first avenue as an option. But there's the Women's Center of Jamaica. There are so many avenues that there's no shortage of need for good volunteers.
All right. And I would also like to say, if you don't see something that you think is a need that we need to work on, then get some people together and create something and/or partner with somebody to get it done. If you don't want to be creating anything, is a good way to go as well. And it doesn't mean if you're not in a official civic service, church, community organization, you're not able to volunteer. Isn't that so?
Yes, form a group and bring in like-minded individuals.
Agreed. All right. So anybody else? Any takers? Mr. Russell will not be with us for the rest of our afternoon. So just in case you have any last thing to say, now is your opportunity before I introduce you to our next speaker, who will be talking to us about creating multiple income streams. While you're thinking about it, I want to just say on behalf of Omega Kappa, I want to thank Mark for sharing with us today. It is my absolute joy that Mark was my Kiwanian advisor as a Circle Care. I kind of never did anything in Key Club per se in high school, and I didn't have Builders Club at my primary school. But out of Circle K and Kiwanis, he reminded me last year that I finally stopped calling him Advisor Mark because we we've been friends for a long time, but that's the way I saw him. And I will say, um, in honesty, a little bit of him and others would have rubbed off on me because I think the people who know me now would probably say they're surprised I'm not a Kiwanian, but I'm waiting on Mark and Hugh Reed's club, which they will tell you that's not going to happen. But the lessons of volunteering rubbed off on me, and those who know me now would probably tell you I'm a super volunteer. So thank you, Mark, for sharing with us today. Maybe some people saying you didn't even have a PowerPoint and people are visual, but we heard you. The benefits are many, and there are so many out there who are happy to have persons assisting them in any way they can. Sometimes what you do, you may not even remember, but for the person who it's impacted, it's a lasting lifetime impression and or change. So consider volunteering. It builds you, it helps you, and we are going to use it in nursing and outside of nursing. So thank you very much, sir, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. We thank you for joining and sharing with us. And Mark is the baby of a nurse. So we have to tell you that he's officially belonging to us always. Right, Mr. Russell? All right.
Right.
So our second presenter for this afternoon is also a member of the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. But let me share what I was asked to share, if I can find it. So Mr. Hugh Reed is currently the general manager at the JN Life Insurance Company Limited, having joined the Jamaica National Group in 2018. He's an experienced financial services executive and entrepreneur with a track record of success in Jamaica and the US. He has served in several management roles with Scotiabank, Victoria Mutual Building Society, and the National Housing Trust. He has a Master of Science in Accounting and a BSc in Economics from the University of the West Indies, and he's a fellow of the Chartered Association of Certified Accountants in the United Kingdom, as well as a fellow of the Life Management Institute in the US. He has served on several boards, and he currently serves on the boards of the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, the Kingston College Development Trust Fund. We won't talk about schools. I don't want there to be any fight between him and Mark. And Perishables Limited, where he's currently the board chairman. He has served as vice chair of the Association of Chartered Accountants in Jamaica, 2019 to 2023, lieutenant governor for 2022-2023 for the Kiwanis Eastern Canada and Caribbean District, Division 23 Central, and as director of the Kiwanis Foundation of Jamaica from 2019 to 2023. He's married with 2 adult sons, an avid follower of all sports, loves to read as well, and is a lover of good music. So he's probably listening to Dennis Brown since today is his birthday. So join me in welcoming Mr. Hugh Reed to talk to us about creating multiple income streams.
Thank you, Mrs. Garrix Lloyd. I don't know how many of you know that in another life, Cheryl is known as Nicole. So I'm giving you some information. And Cheryl indicated that Mark is the son of a nurse. But if I'm not mistaken, he's also married to a nurse. So when he spoke about his love of nursing, he was in fact very, very serious. My task, my task, okay. My task this afternoon is to present to you on the topic of multiple income streams. And I hope that you will find the presentation interesting. Let me go to slide presentation. So, creating multiple income streams. And if I say nothing else that you remember at the end of the presentation, I want you to remember that creating multiple income streams is all about passion. It's about monetizing the things you like to do. It is not about get rich quick schemes, because those tend to promise more than they can deliver, and they are not long lasting. The presentation will be in 5 parts, and don't be concerned, it will be 5 short parts. Why multiple income streams? What are the keys to success? Discovering a simple 3-step process to succeed with multiple income streams. I'll look at some case studies, and then we'll talk about next steps. So why multiple income streams? There are a number of reasons. First and foremost, it can be dangerous if you rely on only one income stream and find that that income stream dries up. The pandemic, while being what the literature calls a black swan event, in other words, an event that is 1 in 1,000,000 years, or maybe 1 in 1,000 years, or 1 in 100 years. The pandemic had a disastrous impact on many persons, and many persons were thrown on the heap of unemployment or having their businesses destroyed, particularly those businesses depended on people being in close proximity, which was not allowed in a pandemic. And some businesses never recovered from the impact of the pandemic because they were closed for so long. If you were the owner of such a business, you would immediately understand the importance of multiple income streams, because the pandemic would have rendered your only income stream non-existent, and you would be faced with a crisis. So multiple income streams are important for that reason, but they're also important because even in the absence of a pandemic, sometimes events occur which affect a particular income stream. And if you had another income stream, then you could rely on that other income stream. And in fact, what happens in terms of risk diversification is that often what affects one income stream adversely might have the opposite impact on another income stream. And therefore, you find that you are able to survive a multiplicity of adverse events because you have that risk diversification. Now, when we talk about multiple income streams, it's very important for us to know what we are talking about. And there are three broad areas: real estate, paper assets, and your own business. That those three areas are the areas that generate multiple income streams. Now, when we talk about real estate, we are talking about a number of things. We're talking about renting property. So you buy property, you rent it. That gives you an income stream. You have long-term rental, short-term rental. You have what is now called Airbnb and other schemes of that nature. And then you have something which is not very popular in Jamaica, but very popular in the United States, called flipping, where you go into Vineyard Town, you buy a property, you fix it up, and then you sell it for a much higher price. So those are some of the areas that can provide you with an alternative income stream out of real estate. In terms of paper assets, there are also quite a number of opportunities in terms of course, buying stocks and shares, whether it be on the Jamaican stock market, the Caribbean stock market. You have stock markets all over the world. And you can also invest in bonds and other types of fixed income securities where you can get an income stream. These bonds will pay interest on quarterly, semi-annually, or annual basis. And depending upon the price that you buy the bond, you can also trade the bond and make a capital gain, which is the difference between the price you bought the bond for and the price you're selling the bond for. So there are other opportunities in fixed income and bond securities. And then you have other assets that persons can buy and sell. Not very popular in Jamaica, but you're looking at things like paintings, motor vehicles. Those are some of the durable assets that can generate income. And then finally, your own business. And the first example I'm going to give might sound strange, but your employment, you're a nurse. That is your business. If more employees thought about their salaried employment as their own business, I think we would have much higher levels of customer service and more satisfied employees. But aside from your primary employment, you can consider alternative income in areas such as creating a small business in any area that you have a passion for. And that is why I spoke about passion, because all of these multiple income streams are not there for you to say, you know, I need some extra money, so I'm going to try this. Because if that is your mentality, your chances of failure are very high. Multiple income streams must be born out of a passion that you have. And you then go about trying to monetize that hobby, that passion, so that it can generate income. One of the areas as well is the area of royalties, where you can write a book, you can create music, you can create a number of things where you can copyright these things and on the basis of that copyright, earn royalties from other persons utilizing it. Okay, so that's area one that we wanted to talk about. What the keys to success. It is very important that you approach multiple income streams in a very deliberate way, because for the one person who has made a success of multiple income streams, you have maybe 9 or 10 who have not been able to be successful. And it demonstrates a need to be deliberate about how you go about creating multiple income streams. So I have 5 keys to success. The first is to master one reliable income stream. Too many persons are trying to do, they have a job, they have 2 or 3 other side hustles, and what happens? None of these are very successful. They can't, because of their side hustles, they can't devote their time to doing their salaried employment properly. And because of the fact that by the time they finish with their salaried employment, they are tired, the other side hustles, which are unlikely to be successful because they're just doing too many things at one time. And I want you to pay particular attention to the word reliable. It's not master one income stream. You must master one reliable income stream, an income stream that you can rely on, so that when you go to another income stream and God forbid, although it is likely, it fails, you have that reliable income stream still in place, still able to provide funding for your family and your other areas of expenditure. The second key to success is to focus on your strength, not on others. This is very important in what I call the age of social media. You go on to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and you see all these people posting how they are successful. And you must not allow that to seduce you into doing things that are really not your areas of strength. What John Brown is doing is, and if he's successful, is based on his strength. Your strength might not be in that particular area. And therefore, a key to success is understanding where you have a comparative advantage. Those of you who did economics will know that a lot of economics is based on the theory of comparative advantage, and that countries should focus on what they are best capable of doing. And that applies to individuals as well. So you need to understand yourself and understand where you are strong, and then focus on those areas, not on what others are doing, because those might in fact be your areas of weakness. The third is, don't cannibalize your existing reliable income stream. So let's say you're a nurse and you decide to do something on the side, and you focus all your strength and energies on that to the extent that your performance as a nurse falls and you're terminated. That is not how you go about creating multiple income streams. Your other income streams, in fact, should ideally be based on leveraging those skills which make you a good nurse. And therefore, you will find that if you select areas that are aligned to or build on skills that you're currently utilizing in your existing reliable income streams, you will have a higher chance of success. The fourth one is don't chase the flavor of the month. If you're on social media, you'll see nearly every month there's a different way of making money that people are trying to get you. In fact, one of the things that I've seen now, which I didn't used to see before, is where the business of travel and travel agency it has been almost franchised, and you can now do that on the side. But if you are not someone who likes to talk to people, if you don't have a sales, a knack of doing sales, that may be an area for you. Or people will tell you about cryptocurrency. And I spoke to you about trying to remember the fact that if nothing else, the focus on creating multiple income streams must be built around your passion. Well, the next thing that you should focus on is that any successful additional income stream must be in an area that you understand and you know that area. If you don't know anything about cryptocurrency or high finance, don't let persons tell you that it's easy, because the basis of your ignorance is often going to prove the trigger for your failure. And finally, each income stream requires its own skills and expertise. So while I told you that you should select additional income streams which are either aligned to an existing income stream or builds on, it is not 100%. And if you go into another income stream, there will be additional skills and expertise that you will need to be successful in that. And therefore, you need to be aware of this, because it then means that there's going to be an investment in learning and additional work. And let me say, before I go on, that multiple income streams is not for everyone. In fact, it is not needed by everyone. Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, he doesn't need another income stream. His one income stream is more than 4 or 5 persons would need. And if you don't know who Mark Zuckerberg is, then let's bring it to Jamaica and talk about Patrick. What is Patrick's last name? The former head of NCB and his deputy Dennis Cohen. They didn't need multiple income streams. Their salaries and their termination packages are more than some persons are getting from 3 or 4 income streams. So it's not for everybody, and particularly, as I said, know yourself. So if family, if relaxation is very important to you, then those are some of the things that you need to think about carefully, because those are often, not always, incompatible with multiple income streams, which require an appetite for long and hard work. Okay, so a 3-step strategy for successful multiple income streams. 1, master the first income stream. We spoke about that in the previous slide. Because you're going to have a reliable income stream, then you're going to look for another income stream, and you're going to pick that additional income stream in an area that you're deeply passionate about. And you're going to pick it because if this is an area that you do for free, then it is likely that you will have the energy and the commitment and the dedication to make it a success, because you're really not in it for the money. It is something about which you're passionate and which you do for free. So those considerations are very important when you're trying to identify an additional income stream. Master your first income stream. So that's lesson number one. Then, having mastered your first income stream, you're looking for an additional income stream. But before you do that, you need to ensure that your first income stream has been what I call systemized, operationalized, so that it almost runs on its own. It becomes something that gives you residual income and cash flow almost in a passive sense. So you could go to sleep and it is there running. And the reason for that is that it will allow you then to devote the additional time that you will need to an additional income stream and not have to worry about whether your first reliable income stream is suffering. And the way you go about that is by technology, leveraging technology, or getting additional persons to operationalize that first income stream. So you are now almost absentee owner. And then the third key strategy is you add additional income streams that leverage the skills, knowledge, and network you created in the first income stream. Remember, I spoke about the fact of picking additional income streams that are aligned to or build on strengths. So whatever skills you have in your first income stream, can those be transferred? Are there areas of knowledge that you have that can be transferred to an additional income stream? Or are there network contacts that you have on which you can then build an additional income stream? And then you can repeat the process based on your own goals and desires, not on what other persons are doing. All right, so we've been talking maybe at a high level, maybe at a theoretical level. So I wanted to concretize it in your own minds. So let's look at these very brief case studies. Many of you will have a hobby, and the fact that it's a hobby suggests that it is an area that you're passionate about. And if you're really passionate about it and you have the desire to monetize that hobby, you might need additional income, that is an area that you should focus on. And in this modern era, there are lots of ways you can do that. If you have a hobby, you can start a blog about the ins and outs of that hobby, or you can turn that hobby into a home-based business, or you can go on social media. You can go on YouTube, Facebook, and speak to people about that hobby and get them interested in it. And eventually, either the social media platform or the persons will begin generating income for you. So let's look at another case study. Many of you might know about Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote this very famous book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But his fame didn't start with that book. It started off in real estate, and then he added paper assets, which we spoke about earlier. And then he leveraged his investment business experience that he got from those paper assets into a successful publishing business, out of which Rich Dad, Poor Dad came. So you can see the And that's how multiple income streams typically develops. You start in one place, you then move in phases gradually as you develop skills and expertise, which can then carry you to another phase. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it, you're all nurses. So you have skills and expertise in the area of taking care of your health, whether your physical health, your mental health, and you can start developing YouTube videos or Facebook videos on various aspects of healthcare, um, getting fit, losing weight. You can then begin to incorporate. So if I might be so bold, Mrs. Garrick's Law could go that route, and then she could get guest persons to come on, not necessarily to talk about um, health, but to talk about areas that are aligned with that. So she could get Mr. Russell to come and talk on her YouTube or Facebook video about volunteering, and then Mr. Reed to talk about multiple income streams. And over time, as you build your audience, you graduate to media deals, um, and product deals where these persons, these entities will monetize the audience that you have, uh, and that's how you graduate over time, in much the same way that Robert Kiyosaki did. And the final case that I want to talk about, because I like to personalize these things. In my case, I have been in the business of finance all my life. I'm at some point going to move into another phase where I'm not employed, otherwise called retirement. And all of us need to make plans. You don't wait until you're at the cusp of retirement to say, well, what am I going to do? So I have been systematically building my network, getting speaking engagements like this one. I have been going and getting appointed to boards, whether it be unpaid or paid, because it builds your expertise or builds my expertise in boards. And of course, um, at some boards, directors are getting board fees in the millions of dollars. And that is part of my retirement planning. And then many small businesses will need mentors, coaches, and based on my expertise and the contacts that I've built up. So those are the plans I have, which I am systematically putting in place to build multiple income streams over time. So what are your next steps? And I will stop sharing at this time, and I'd like a couple of persons. I hope we have time. This is Garrick's Lord. A couple of persons who are interested in multiple income streams to share with us. What are their goals? Do they have a strategy like the one I just shared with you? And we could have a little discussion. So, any volunteers?
Yes, there is time for persons to volunteer and ask, so I will open the floor. All right, we need to volunteer some persons again.
Or is
Colleagues,
it
anybody?
or is it that the nurses are making enough money out of their reliable existing income streams, so they're not interested in other income streams?
Hmm. I would say that's probably not true. So if I may, if I may throw out an example, I think, for instance, I have a student who is making and selling, I think, soaps and other items for use on your body. So I've not spoken to her about what she's done about that, but I would say, as I was listening to you just now, while I was being used and as example, I'm like, why are you throwing out your words on me about the YouTube channel that I have launched, but I have not done anything else with it. So I'm beginning to think that I need to take these tips you have offered today to move forward with that. I want one of those that I can count on will create some income while I'm sleeping. I would say, let me throw myself out there while the others are waiting to share. If anybody in here knows me at all or seen my name anywhere, they would know that it comes with mental health right beside it. So maybe you should tell me how I should move about creating some stream from that. I think I'd like to say, like you, I'm building my network and I am presenting and talking, but I do think it needs to be taken to another level.
So, let
Go
me
ahead, Nicola.
intervene. Yes. Okay. So, you know, you want to have another income stream. So that's step one. Step two, there are some fundamentals that I think you would need to know, like one, registering your business. How do you manage the business? Meaning, if you get persons to assist you, this is not a sole proprietorship, and you want to employ one or two persons. How do you know, the other personnel matters that comes with now becoming an employer, and you are having employees, and all the intricate matters that comes along with that new title that you are taking on as an employer? Because yes, you have decided, okay, I would like to have another income stream, but there's so much more, the foundations that needs to be built. So I guess what I'm asking is there a person, or are there persons who could give you advice going forward? General advice as it relates to what do you do now when you become an employer or a potential employer, hiring persons, creating salaries, paying taxes, registering your business, things like that. That would need to be taken into consideration, really. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so thanks for that question. I think that was Nicola.
Yes, it is.
So let me go back to my presentation. So you want additional income stream. So the first thing you need to identify is, what are you passionate about? Is there a hobby that you have that you think you can monetize, or a passion that you think you can monetize? Once you have identified that passion, that hobby, that thing, you need to start doing some general research. I mean, the beauty about this era is that there's nothing that you want to know that you can't find by Googling it.
Okay.
I just love Google. If I have a problem, I got Christmas present some Android earbuds, and I wanted to know, I wonder how long these things last once they're charged. I just go on Google and put it in. So, let's take a simple example as you're a nurse and you love to cook cakes and pastries, and you have a passion about that.
Yes.
The next thing is to go on, Google, on YouTube, on Facebook, and see if you can get information about persons who have turned that passion into a monetary business. And then you'll get a better feel as to whether or not that is something that you should continue. to pursue. It's always good to do things in a sort of phase basis. So if you have that passion, then you can start talking to friends, colleagues, work, church, taking orders. I have a church colleague. In fact, he's a male colleague, and he loves to cook Christmas cakes. And he has been building his cake business on the side because he's employed, and he does it particularly at Christmas. Um, I found out that he did it, and now he gets business from my company because we give cakes to our employees, and he has been able to build out his cake business. Now, what you find is that you're going to reach a stage where either the demand for your product or your own project plans are now requiring that you get assistance. Um, it is at that point now that you need to do additional research as to how best to, remember we spoke about in the presentation, systemizing or operationalizing the build out of that business. How will it work? Because many times we get involved with the business, but that is not a sustainable business, because if we go and leave the business, that side hustle stops. So you have to
Yes.
reach a stage now where you bring other people into that business so that it doesn't require your hands-on involvement. And that is when you have started to put the business on a sustainable level. It
Okay.
is at that point now that you will need to start to do additional research in some of the specific areas that you asked.
Yeah.
How best should I set up this business? Because you can set it up as a sole trader. You can set it up as a limited liability company, as a partnership, um, and you then need to do some research, some additional research, and you can speak to persons. All of us here know persons. Let's say, for example, that you wanted to set up a business. Um, there are a lot of persons knowing what they call microfinance, lending money. This is short-term money at high interest rates because somebody else wants that money and they can turn it around quickly. If you want to do that business, then you go and look for somebody who is in that business. You can check around in your circles, whether your work circles, your church circles, your other circles, um, and you will find contacts. Or alternatively, you can then go to my regular source of research, Google. Google these businesses. You can approach them. Um, and you can also go to there are certain well-established spaces, the Small Business Bureau, Bureau of Standards. A lot of these places will provide information free of cost. So a lot of persons have gone to the Bureau of Standards if their business is something that would benefit from Bureau of Standards certification, and the Bureau of Standards helps them, or the Small Business Bureau. There are lots of places. I mean, your bank, you can, a bank is not only there to lend money, but it's also there to provide advice and to work with you as you develop your business over time. And I hope that has provided with some sources of information as your business grows and as you seek to put it on a sustainable basis.
Definitely has. I think I was thinking of the whole, but now that you have broken it down into steps, yes, I see my way going forward much better. So I thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, Nicole.
Okay.
Nicola.
Thank you.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Madam Nicola, for asking your question. Is there anybody else, colleagues, who has an idea or they've started working on it and you would want to just ask a couple of questions? So when you walk away today, you are looking at being in a better stead or place and an idea of what your next step may be as we are looking at that. And I would say I had a question about if you're doing what we would like to call a side hustle and making it formal. Because if you're doing it as a side hustle, do you need to be disclosing it? Are you paying taxes on it? And what happens if you have to start making it formal?
What I would say is that as you grow your business, clearly you're going to have to be meeting the requirements in terms of, paying tax. If you're getting employees, then you'd have to deal with statutory deductions and all those things. It is important that, and I want to tie the two presentations, because Nicola spoke about, how do you know when to do X and at what stage and so on. One of the things that Mr. Russell spoke about in terms of volunteering is that it builds your network. So when you volunteer, that body that you volunteer with, whether it be the church, whether it be Kiwanis, Lions Club, Optimist Club, Sir Optimist Club, whatever the entity that it broadens your pool of networks, contacts. And what you will find is that many times you won't need to go to Google because you will know somebody who is in a position in a particular industry, has a particular skills that can give you that information, and they will give you that information because you are a volunteer. And Mark spoke about that, and hopefully you haven't forgotten it. But it is very important that, if you are selling a couple of cakes every Christmas, you don't need to worry about paying tax. But if you are, for example, selling cakes in such a way that, for example, Jane Life Insurance is giving an order for 30 cakes, Grace Kennedy is giving an order for 40 cakes, then you now need to begin to think about whether or not you're at the stage where you need to register, you need to begin paying taxes on your business, because the fact that you're getting business from these established entities means that you have now come within the ambit and the radar of the regulatory authorities, whether it be the tax or the GCT or the education tax or the NHT. And you need to regularize yourself before they come to regularize you.
All right, thank you. Pauline, I see your hand, and then I have a question from YouTube.
All right, thank you very much. Very enlightening discussion. Wish I knew this 20 years ago.
It's not too late, Pauline.
Anyway, I wanted to find out, just following from the responses you gave just now, would that mean you would have to register this small company in order to be paying taxes and so on? Has to be registered, huh?
Yeah, it has to be registered.
Okay. So if using the example you gave, where I am getting orders from Grace and Sagicor, but my company has not been registered, how does that pan out compared to if it is registered?
All right, so let me clarify.
Okay.
If you have established a company, then that by itself is what I would call registration, because you're now a registered entity. When I was speaking about registration is when I was really talking about you as a sole proprietor or an unincorporated small business. You'd have to register for some of these taxes, register your business name or your trading name. So that's what I was talking about. But if you have a company, you're already official, and you would need to be filing the relevant taxes, making the necessary returns to the company's office for your company.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Pauline. Sounds like we need a follow-up to maybe talk about registering companies because I heard a lady recently on Facebook saying that she had her idea and she created her little business cards and her so on and so forth. And when she went to register her company, the name she had was already taken. So maybe we need to have a follow-up conversation about that because you want to ensure that you actually are able to use what you have in mind. So the question that came from YouTube is saying that I have a unique skill set and would want to start a consultancy service, but I am not sure how to go about doing that.
Okay. I like that question because, many of us have unique skill sets. Now, in the area of consultancy, I often run a joke that a consultant is really an unemployed person because many times these consultants are not getting anything to consult on. So it is in terms of consultancy, you have to establish that there's going to be a need for your particular skills. And not only that there's a need, but that people will pay for that need. Because the trouble with consultancy, and you would have to develop certain skills in terms of getting a deposit, getting part payments as you go along. Because a lot of times persons who avail themselves of consultants, please, when they get the report, they disappear because they don't want to pay for the report or the document or whatever it is that they contracted you to do. So I would say that consultancy is an area where you need to be particularly careful in terms of establishing that there's a need for that service, establishing that the persons who are going to be your target market will pay for the service, and I think that it should be free, and that you have the necessary systems in place to ensure that you can collect on your service before you deliver the product and the person then disappears completely.
All right. So we have to find those who need us, ensure we can deliver, and make sure that collection can be done. All right, I got that. All right, colleagues.
And maybe one more point.
Yes.
And if you are thinking of that, see if you can speak to somebody who's already in that consultancy business, because they will be able to give you chapter and verse. They're on the ground and they will be able to tell you the pitfalls, the things you are to avoid, and the things you are to focus on.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Nicola.
One more follow-up question, please. If you initially registered your business as a sole trader and it has expanded and you want to employ persons, how easy is it to modify the business to a limited liability company?
If you're going to set up a limited liability company, I would recommend that you get legal advice on the company, because there are certain pitfalls that you would want to avoid. If you don't want to go the route of getting legal advice, you can go and speak with auditor accountancy firms, because they often do that kind of thing or can point you in the right direction. Because once you establish that company, if you make a mistake, it is going to involve extra time and money to correct that mistake in terms of your incorporation documents. You don't want to find that you have set up a company and then you find that, because remember, a company is based on the documents that are used to establish the company. And that document should give you all of the powers that you need. You don't want to go into a business
Okay.
and find that, for example, you need to borrow money, but the incorporation documents don't allow you to borrow money. So those are some of
Okay.
the things that you want to avoid.
To
And it is
research thoroughly.
Yes, yes, you need to do your research. You need to consult with persons who are maybe in that line of business. And the final thing I want to say is in relation to incorporation, because many people don't believe they have a business unless they have a company, which is not the case. Um, you have very big companies, for example, which are partnerships. They are not companies. Um, and you have successful businesses which are sole traders. Um, there are advantages and disadvantages to incorporation. Because once you have gone the route of incorporation, there are certain things that go along with it. You have to file annual returns. Um, and if you don't file your annual returns, you are subject to penalties and fines from the company's office. You have to do um, audits, um, which are going to cost you more than if you are in another type of business. And so you need to look at the pros and cons. If the pros outweigh the cons, you go straight ahead.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Nicola. Sounds like you're a little bit ahead of us. I'm like, some of us are probably over here wondering about sole trader and something limited liability, right?
I'm trying.
Yes, it sounds like you're a little ahead of us and serious about creating your additional income stream. So thank you for sharing with us. And colleagues, just checking if there is anybody else who had a burning question when they came in today, or anything that they wanted to hear and they've heard, or any other comments or questions. Let me just check quickly over on YouTube. There are persons here who are asking if there is any particular suggestion for somebody who is nearing retirement to look at a multiple income stream. I'm guessing sometimes we forget that we should start planning for retirement the day we start working.
Yes, and the truth is that you know persons need to consider retirement as it's not a brick wall that you come upon. It's really a phase that you go through. So that the fact that, for example, you retire as a nurse doesn't mean that your ability to earn as a nurse is finished, because you have doctors' offices, dental offices, you have labs, you have all kinds of businesses that would utilize your skill, notwithstanding the fact that you are um, at 65 or at 60 or over, whatever is the retirement age where you are employed. So there is a possibility of employment after retirement, and there's also the opportunity of additional income streams after employment. Now, there is no blueprint, there's no cookie cutter sheet that you can use, because, as I said before, multiple income streams is a question of your your area of passion. Um, what is it that you think you have, as someone said earlier, a unique skill set? And that will vary from Wendy, from to Shanice, to Sarah, to Tavia. So you need to, first of all, start with that introspection. What is it that you can do which someone else would pay for because you are so good at it? And then, having identified that, you start the process of researching how others have done it. And as I said, in this particular age, there is a wealth of information that you can get from the various social media platforms.
All right, thank you. I just had a quick question about creating these streams though. Is there anything that speaks to, for instance, if you realize that you are stabilizing one additional income stream and looking at perhaps one day moving over full time to that, having somebody else kind of like manage that as opposed to you. So you're focused on your 9 to 5, for instance, since I believe your term was don't cannibalize that. Is there anything that speaks to having somebody else to assist you with that until you get over to that side full time?
Well, what you'll find is that you don't get to that stage all of a sudden. What you will find is that you build your business over time, and in building your business, and let's go back to for example, that cake, selling cakes on the side. Um, you'll start off by being able to do all the cakes yourself, and then you might find that you can't manage all the cakes, particularly at a peak time. So you'll need to identify additional persons to assist you under your supervision. And then as that goes, you might find that you need to identify someone now who is not going to work under your supervision, but will replace you as the supervisor um, in terms of quality and the other aspects of your business. And then at that stage, you will need now to enter into arrangements so that that person will basically run the business for you um, to allow you to do something else. And you enter into an arrangement. I would recommend a profit share arrangement where that person will get a stake in the business. Because if that person doesn't have a stake in the business, they will be tempted to help themselves from the business, but because that's not their business, that's somebody else's business. But if they have a stake in the business, then their whole mindset about the business and how they relate to the business changes.
All right, thank you. I just wondering if I need to find out about this limited thing because it's sounding like an employee. So I was just checking. All right, colleagues, checking again. Anybody else? Because I would love to say we've had a good afternoon of closing out our series, and I just want to make sure before we disappear. I do have a little bit to share with you before we are finished, but I just wanted to make sure we don't have any other questions for Mr. Reed. I'm sure he too is right behind Mark in terms of exiting. And so we really just want to say thank you to both of you. Mark has left already. Thank you very much, Mr. Reed. I would say we can Google and find both of them. Maybe no, maybe Mr. Reed. I think Mark may not be on social media as much. Regarding information we may want to find or things we want to hear more about. Both of you have given us a lot of food for thought today on volunteering and looking at those income streams. I want to really say thank you because both of you did not hesitate to say, yes, we'd be happy to present today. So thank you very much from the Omega Kappa chapter and have a wonderful rest of your evening. So
Thank you.
colleagues, as we close out this afternoon, I just want to close off with a few words about Omega Kappa in case you missed it. So we are at the UWI School of Nursing, Mona geographically, but we are one out of 540 active chapters of Sigma Theta Tau International. It's all about nurse leaders and nursing students. The mission and the vision is that we want to empower our nurses anywhere at all they are to impact healthcare everywhere. We want the nurses to be at the front and center, back and middle of any change we want. And every chapter has that drive and that mission to carry about so that we are impacting everywhere. Sigma has over 135,000 nurses and students in over 100 countries. And yes, it is something we do pay to join, but what we are paying depends on the country you're in. So there's a cost for low, middle, or high income countries according to the World Bank rating. So for Jamaica, it's 92 US dollars to join. It gets paid to Sigma directly, and they send a part of it back to the chapter so that you can manage your affairs. Jamaica is middle income. If you have an interest, Sigma asks that you have your license to practice in the country in which you reside, that you are able to share with us what you've been doing as a nursing leader, what you've been doing in terms of your academics, and what you've been doing in terms of volunteering. Sigma is also asking if you're a nursing student, similarly, are you leading? Are you volunteering? And are you at the top of your class? You have to send an application in, and then we're able to look at having you inducted once you've paid. But it's a little bit more technical. We just wanted to give you an idea. So if you have an interest, we are saying to you, reach out to Omega Kappa. You would have probably indicated in your registration because we ask you if you're a member, and if you're not, would you be interested? So when we reach out to you and explain it a little bit more, then we look forward to hearing from you, because we are also looking at building within our region. Our chapter is the only one in the Caribbean, and we are part of the Latin America and Caribbean region. I am very happy to have been a part of this when I was a nursing graduate student doing my master's. Mrs. Anderson Johnson, you would have heard earlier, was our chartering president. I stepped up right behind her, and I look forward to going out as we have our AGM for this month, because being inspired to volunteer, you would have probably heard at the beginning that I think people may think I'm a super volunteer. So I have found myself elected to be the regional coordinator for Latin America and the Caribbean region. And our 5 chapters are here in Jamaica, one in Brazil, one in Colombia, one in Mexico, one in Chile. And so we are looking at, I will have that overseeing responsibility. And I'm saying to all of us, I think I became that kind of person because I want to be a part of the change I want to see, and I don't want them to leave us as nurses at the back as an afterthought. I want us to be very active at the front. So consider doing that while you're working on the income stream. The benefits we got for the volunteering spoke about the gratitude, making it a family activity, networking and collaborating, building those bridges, improving your resume, and being able to find out that your circle may involve all the people. For all the information we may need now for creating this multiple income stream, there's probably somebody who knows somebody, or somebody else who knows somebody that we can rely on. So I really want to say today, on behalf of Omega Kappa, thank you very much for all the presenters we had. We had 4 fantastic days of infection prevention and control, and 2 days of non-nursing sessions. So without realizing it, the 6 days have come and they are ending. I want to thank all our chapter members, and especially our fundraising chair and her committee for putting on the webinar series. It was number 4. We had less persons this time. We missed the last year November deadline, but we're happy to be completing it now. I want to thank everybody who registered and joined over these last 2 weeks for the 6 sessions. And I particularly want to say congrats to our winners who will hear from us. Whatever the prize is, it's probably going to be something small, but we want to say thank you for participating. Lashana, Renee, Marlise, and Andrea. I want to say a big thank you to every single person who told somebody who shared, and for everybody who would have subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I did notice that we went up from about 265 to 278. So we ask you to like it and subscribe. When we live stream our educational sessions, it will notify you, and they're also usually left on the YouTube channel. So we probably have over 40 videos there now, so that you're able to go back and look. There are other things besides infection prevention and control. We also want to tell you, follow us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Omega Kappa Chapter of Sigma, because it also tells you what we have when we have upcoming activities. We do only do educational sessions. We have service activities. We have different celebrations for the different activities. So mental health, for Child's Month, for Teachers' Day, for anything that involves nurses, and for healthcare, we are working on expanding and being more visible. We have nurses across the Caribbean, in the US and the UK. So if you know somebody who says this could be a good place, think about it, because you are able to volunteer to serve on the board or the exec, or just for one activity if that's what's something that you'd like. And Sigma itself offers us over 100 continuing professional development courses, because we're members, we don't need to pay for those. And they also have so many building academies that we are able to participate in to help us to get where we'd like to be as nursing leaders. So I just wanted to close out. If you can see my picture behind me, our organization has what they call a call to action for every 2 years that we are operating. And the one for 2023 to 2025 is called Represent. We are being asked to represent ourselves as nurses, and the areas we are representing in are to be reflective, to be respectful, and to respond. We're asked to reflect on communicating a caring culture. They say nurses are the care in healthcare, but I find that sometimes we don't care for ourselves. So the first one is self-care, caring for others as we should, and then we are caring for our environment. We are asked to show respect by cultivating cultural humility. So we need to learn to use active listening. We should learn with grace and a mindset of growth. And then we are being asked to lead. Let's remember that we have the dynamics, we have the power, we have the knowledge and the know-how to lead. So if we're not at those tables, let's start inviting ourselves, because the last R from represent is to respond. Let's champion contemporary practice. We want to be professionals. We want to have the perspective and the perseverance, and we want to be able to respond to whatever it is we need out there. Recently, we've gotten a change with the advanced nurses here in Jamaica, and the practitioners will now be able to have their prescriptive rights. Took a long time. The work is not done, but it's things like that. Let's respond to contemporary practice and get some more things out there. We have a immunization system in this country under public health that many people are looking to mirror in their countries. We've eradicated many things here. So let's highlight the positive, let's see what the gaps are, and let's respond to having those things changed. So you will see my picture behind me is asking us to represent, and I'm throwing it out to you. You don't have to be a member of our chapter, but you are a member of our profession, and I'm asking us to each go out and represent. We have completed the 6th day, and we are going to be asking you to just give us a little bit of time. We want to remind everybody that though we volunteer over here and we are happy and active, we're also working. And we promise you within 4 weeks that your certificates will be emailed to you. We don't want to tell you earlier than that, and then we don't have it ready, because we like to make sure our word is our bond. So within 4 weeks, your completion certificates will be sent out. We will be making a note of all the persons who were with us, because we did say you must be in attendance. And then we look forward to having you join us again whenever we have anything. And more than anything else, I will say on behalf of those of us here who are Omega Kappa members, you may raise your hands and indicate so they can know who you are. If you have a question, reach out to us. But we want to thank you for being an honorary part, I'd say, for the last 2 weeks of the Omega Kappa chapter of Sigma. Thank you very much, Nicola. Thank you, Tavia. It's been wonderful to have you and to host you. And I think our head of school would love to say, you could probably just turn your microphones on as our last evening, and just maybe let's hear your voices as you say goodbye, and have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on
Goodbye.
YouTube.
Goodbye.
Goodbye,
Thank
and
you
thank
so
you
Bye.
very much.
So
much.
long. And
Bye.
go remember to play ABC fast or
Oh,
slow.
yes.